how do you get through what's about to happen? Because it's one thing to crash, but can you survive it? The problem with most people is they're stuck in microeconomy. You know, they don't see the big picture. And I would estimate 90% of Americans just believe that don't worry, America will bounce back. Everything will be happy days are here again. And as a U.S. Marine, we call the people who are stuck in the microeconomy, they got their heads up their asses. They can't even see what's happening in the real world. And when you look at the macro, the whole world is collapsing around them. Richard Duncan, you've been calling this for a long time. The dollar is in crisis, isn't it?
Well, so our economic system is in crisis, and I'm really worried now that we're on the verge of a serious economic crisis that could see the destruction of trillions of dollars of additional wealth before this thing is over. Capitalism, in my view, became corrupted at the fundamental level when we stopped backing dollars with gold. And to make a long story, not too complicated a story, but to make a long story short, this unleashed an explosion of credit. Credit absolutely exploded. Total credit or total debt in the United States grew from $1 trillion when I was 3 years old in 1964 to $91 trillion now. From $1 to $91 trillion in my lifetime. And during that process, that created a great deal of wealth, a great deal of economic growth in the United States and all around the world. But our economy became addicted to credit growth. Our economy must have credit growth to stay out of crisis. And now credit is contracting when you adjust it for inflation. So this is a very serious problem for our economic system, which I call creditism rather than capitalism, since it's driven by credit growth.
Micro is this: you're you're pumping gas into your lease SUV, and you're going, why is the price of oil going up? That's micro. I mean, they can't see it, but inflation, I'm afraid, is systemic now. And a lot of it is because what Richard's talking about is creditism. They just print so much money. Instead of solving the problems, they print money. And now it's going to backfire on everybody. One is the Nord Stream 2, they torpedoed the pipeline. You have the war in the Ukraine. The English pound crashed. Japan's yen is in serious trouble, and I guess North Korea fired some rocket at the Japanese. You have inflation being systemic, and you have the BRICS. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. I mean, nothing macro here.
This time it's different. This is the new economy. We are just coming out of the longest bull run in history, 11 years. Started in 2011. And at 2011, I made the biggest fortunes of my life because that was the MBS, mortgage-backed securities, and the CDO crashes, the real estate crashed. And I backed up the truck and I borrowed $300 million to buy the best real estate all across the Southwest. This is the longest bull market in history. And I look at some of these young kids, and I own some Bitcoin, I own some Ethereum, but they're all saying the same thing. This time it's different, and Bitcoin's crashed. And, the Federal Reserve Bank, I can't believe that. I mean, people say, don't fight the Fed and all this. Well, my question to everybody is this: can the Fed print oil? Can the Fed print gasoline? Can it print food? But everybody sits there and they've been brainwashed by Wall Street to go, do as the Fed tells you to do. Well, you gotta be kidding me. Those guys are the three stooges, Janet Yellen, Biden, and Powell. You gotta be kidding me. Why would you listen to them? Volcker saying it's gonna crush, so he raised interest rates, right? So Powell is now channeling the spirit of Volcker. And when Volcker crushed inflation, debt to GDP was 30%. And today it's 125% if you believe the numbers. When the debt to GDP is 120%, you gotta be kidding me. So when they were dropping the interest rates, I thought I died and went to heaven because I'd buy apartment houses. I own 13,000 apartment houses. Every time the Fed dropped the interest rates, it jacked the value of my properties up, but I also improved the properties. and I refinance out. So today I own no money in any of my properties. 13,000 units, all throwing cash. They said in a bull market, even idiots feel smart. I'm listening to all these idiots, after 2011, the market crashed in 08 because the repo market went bad. And the repo market is the credit of Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns was bad. And they hammered that. Anyway, it's a long story. My friends are all inside that world. But then when it came back out, they just started pumping money, just like you said about Christine Lagarde, just start lying. And what they did was they kept printing more money to save a bad economy. It was already crashing again in 2011, but they kept printing money. And today we're going to pay that price. I use debt because debt is tax-free money.
We're crashing, like it or not. I'm a Marine pilot. I went down 3 times. And the question is not if you're going to crash. The question is, will you survive the crash? And that's what I love about the Marine Corps. We practice crashing every single day. And so when the 3 times it happened in Vietnam, we survived. The question is not the question, are we going to crash? We are crashing. But what's the significance, like Biden cutting off the Keystone XL pipeline in America, which is an act of terrorism and treason, in my opinion, and then the Nord Stream 2 pipeline gets demolished intentionally. And it's Russia's major source of income is exporting power or energy.
Biden is going to bankrupt us. I'm not saying him, but there's somebody who wants to bankrupt because oil is the lifeblood of civilization. I worked for Standard Oil of California as a tanker officer when I graduated from school. I understand oil. I was on the Alaska pipeline and all this. I'm like, he's screwing us. So when he raises inflation, the poor and middle class will go broke. And that was just done as soon as he was being done before he took office. And so I'm looking at this guy's going to sell America down the drain. I'm not saying it's him, but somebody wants us to go broke. And I'm watching this going, oh my God, so what else so I have oil wells. I get tax breaks for those. Because I don't invest in oil stocks. I work for Standard Oil, but I don't invest in Standard Oil. I invest in the oil in the ground. I'm a wildcatter. Everybody says don't do it. I don't recommend it, but I like doing it. Because my gold mines don't do it. I like doing it. There's more opportunity today than ever before, but not if you've been brainwashed into going to school, getting a job, paying taxes, live debt-free, and invest in the stock market. This bubble right now, is a bigger bubble than 2008. This is the everything bubble. It's going to be not only stocks, bonds, but also credit. But it's more opportunity is going to come out of it. And that's what I'm saying. Be careful who you listen to, because your best asset, but also your biggest liability, are the ideas in your head. And be careful who puts them there.